Welcome! Today we are diving into the art of teaching and exploring the soft skills that help educators connect, inspire, and foster resilience in the classroom. From communication to creativity, we will see how our guest uses these skills to create an environment where every student thrives. Let's begin by hearing about their journey.
Good day. Welcome to today's interview session. It is about interviewing a teacher on what it takes to be an effective and responsive teacher in today's education environment. I am Lami Khaonele Ashama and I am joined by Mr. Barret. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Let's get right into it. Can you share a bit about your background in education?
Yeah, I started my primary school at Newtown Primary School in Sorowe. Then I went to Kalemang, at the PCGSS in Sorowe. I went to Swani Hill School. Then after that I went to University of Botswana. I did BC there, Bachelor of Science in UB. I also did my master's degree in 2012 to 2014, also in UB. I was doing MSc, Masters in Science, specializing in financial mathematics. I also did some short courses, certificates. I went to Kasani to do something on young leaders and mathematics education in basic education. I also went to Stellenbosch on international exchange. I went there for about
Next, we will dive into the art of communication. Let's see how teachers connect with students and create an environment where every voice matters.
How do you ensure your instructions and explanations are clear and effective for students with diverse learning styles?
it's difficult, but as a teacher, you are trained to do that. When you are doing instructional delivery at school, you are taught that you will meet a different type of students, they have what do you call this? Different backgrounds, and they will behave differently in class, and even getting the concept, it will be different. The way you teach should be different. You should cater for each and every individual. I've been taught to do that at school, so it's an easy thing to do now, to experience.
Well, that's true. Can you describe? Have you ever had a time where you had to adapt your lesson plan or teaching approach due to an unexpected classroom disruption or challenge?
Yes, it happens. Even though in mathematics it's not common because we use the blackboard, so electricity interruption they don't matter much, but it happens. It happened once I was teaching, then one of the students got sick, really sick, that I used to rush that student to the hospital. And then I ended up adjusting and re-teaching the lesson.
Well, that was solving the problem at hand. Have you ever encountered a situation when you had to have a sensitive conversation with a student or a parent regarding academic performance or behavior?
Yes, it happened once, not once, but twice. I had students who was drinking alcohol, he came to school drunk, so I had to call the parent and discuss the matter with the parent. Then I realized that the student is depressed. The relationship with the father is not very, very so we have to call the social worker to deal with the issue.
Oh, okay. What strategies do you use to ensure all students feel comfortable participating and that their voices are heard in classroom discussions, especially those who are typically quiet or hesitant?
Yeah, in most of my classes or my lessons, you don't volunteer. You don't volunteer to participate. You don't volunteer or maybe to answer a question. No, I just pick anyone at random because I know that some students will never participate in class. Even if they know what you are talking about, what you are doing, they will never take part. But I force them to do it.
In cases when they just wouldn't raise their hands when you ask them to do so.
Yes.
How do you balance delivering instructional content with creating a classroom environment that feels natural, engaging, and conducive to open discussion?
When you have students, new students, like for instance, when you have a new class, the first thing that you have to deal with is to get rid of fear. Your students should get used to you, so they should love you, treat you like a brother, but they should not fear you. The moment you get rid of fear, then you will see participation in class becomes more effective, and everyone will be comfortable with asking you a question or even making a comment on your teacher.
When our learning becomes engaging.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you describe a time when you took a leadership role in your school or district to advocate for a particular teaching method?
I'm not a leader myself, but in several occasions I acted. When I was teaching at a senior school, I used to be a senior teacher. When I was in the colleges of education, I used to be acting HOD, head of department, and I advocated for some changes in some instructions, looking at the type of the course that the lecturers were teaching. For instance, like
I see. Teaching often requires juggling multiple tasks at once. Can you describe a typical day and how you manage the various demands on your time and attention?
yeah, it's all about commitment. Myself, I'm doing a lot of things. Sometimes I work at Botswana Examination Council setting exams. Sometimes I'm at the curriculum development. Sometimes I'm creating the syllabuses. Sometimes I'm with the Mathematics Association of Botswana dealing with the Mathematics Olympiads. But I also have to teach. But I manage all these things. For instance, now, after your interview, I'll be in a meeting for Pan-African Mathematics Olympiad. So I manage all these things.
What organizational systems or tools do you use to manage your classrooms, student records, and teaching materials effectively?
Tools? What do you mean by tools?
Equipment you use in class?
I don't know whether the laptops is part of the equipment we're talking about.
Yes, they
but
are.
that's the only thing that we got from this organization to teach them.
Nets.
Yeah, that is the problem.
How do you reflect on your teaching practices and identify areas for improvement?
Yeah, with the new syllabus in place, that's the new syllabus that we are teaching now. We haven't gone through training. A lot of lecturers, including me, we really don't know what to do at some point. So we need training on the OBE and the assessment for the new syllabus. We really need support on those areas.
How do you set goals for your students and for yourself as a teacher? And how do you track progress after you set those goals and adjust your strategies as needed?
Yeah, setting goals it will be easier because I set goals for myself. Then I set goals for my students, looking what I have set for myself. Then after that I can review, certain review items looking at those.
Okay, we've talked about diverse learners when we started. How do you create an inclusive classroom environment for all students?
The system itself is for inclusive education. Our system, educational system, they've been designed that way. That's why you see even in front of our classroom, they made it easier for disability students to enter the classrooms. So now, even when they are there inside, now we have been taught that you don't treat them differently. They will feel that they are different. You treat them equally, other students, then they will be able to learn comfortably. The environment will be conducive for them.
Okay, talking about disabilities, with those that have visual impairment, those that have hearing disabilities, do you arrange them in class, or do they just sit according to how they know of their disabilities?
Yeah, actually, in our school here, we don't cater for visually impaired. We only cater for what you call those who have difficulty in hearing, because usually they are given hearing aids, then you can help them. But with the ones who can't see properly, I just send them to another school.
How do you maintain professionalism? How do you maintain professionalism in your interactions with students, parents, and colleagues?
Like I said before, you get rid of fear. Students becomes your friends. Students becomes your children, your kids. Then and now, you need to draw a line where students now know that here we can't cross. That's what we call a professional lecturer or technical teacher. You must have boundaries. That's how I do my teaching.
Okay, with colleagues?
Yeah, with colleagues is fine, because in the school here we don't interact that much. You'll find that I have my own office. I'm here, I work alone most of the time. But during meetings, that's when we meet each other, we interact, and we try to maintain that level of professionalism. We don't go beyond that.
Can you discuss? How do you teach your students about digital citizenship and promote responsible use of technology in the classrooms?
The world is evolving. Technology is the future. I always tell my students that use technology, and I only use it. I send the assignments, we do everything, we use. Sometimes I try to use visual lessons, but they don't have the gadgets to do so. So that's why I can't do it. But most of the time we use technology, and I encourage them to use it. Like AI. AI is the future. We have to know how to use it.
That's interesting. What specific experiences have helped you develop the soft skills you in the system as learning? Based on your experience, what is the most important piece of advice you would give to new teachers regarding developing their soft skills to better serve their students?
Yeah, usually I tell my students, learning something is one thing, teaching it is something. Learn how to believe, learn how to teach. Study the person you are teaching. Look at that person's responses and you know that what that person needs. It's a skill that they have to learn.
Well, thank you so much for taking part in the interview, Mr. Bareti. That's the beautiful discussion.
Feedback is a powerful way to achieve improvement in teaching and learning. It is an integral part of every teacher's practice and, when used effectively, can improve student learning by as much as 8 months. As teachers and school leaders, it's essential to understand what evidence-based feedback is if we're to unlock the greatest possible benefits for our students. So, what does the research tell us about feedback in teaching? Feedback is an ongoing process of goal setting, gathering evidence about student learning, and providing instruction that makes clear the next actions to improve performance. Feedback can be given by the teacher, peers, or the student themselves. 2 evidence-based models for feedback have been developed by Hattie and Timperley and Black and William. Both models propose 3 important questions for both the student and teacher to consider. Where is the learner going? Students and teachers
roles, curriculum design, coaching or educational policy, continually growing as professionals and lifelong learners.